Thank you, everybody. And just a couple of members, TPW news. We will have our open forum TDCR meeting on the 29th. I mean, I sent out an email blast asking questions. So if you guys mind filling out that form and put down all the questions you guys want us to ask TDCR. It's on the 29th, but we're also going to have a membership meeting on the 16th. So if you guys can join, we're going to be prepping for the CDCR open forum meeting, and it will be happening this Thursday at 10 o'clock. Javier, oops. And yeah, and now we would like to turn to organization news. This is the time to highlight what you guys are doing and anything you guys want us to go to talk about and highlight. And yeah, for you guys, any events. Mary Lou? Go ahead, Mary Lou. You're on mute.
Thank you again. I wanted to let everyone know that as some of you have participated, some of you know about it, we had the Life After Life event May the 22nd. So we're going to have another one. We're going to have and focus this one just on women. So we're going to be putting out a flyer. We're finishing up the touches right now, but we're going to be putting out a flyer. It's scheduled for November 13th, I believe. And we're trying to find a really good title for it because we had the Life After Life, but we want a continuation of that, but focusing on women. And yes, men will be invited as well to support the women, but we want to focus on women issues. So we're going to be doing that, and we want all of you to know about it and send out the flyer to you, to Edwin, as soon as it's done, so he can pass it all out. So
thank you, Mary Lou.
Edwin, I'm sorry, Edwin, would it be too much to ask if people could also say what organization they're with for those of us rookies?
Okay, so I'm Mary Lou, and I work with Santa Cruz Barrios Unidos.
Say hi to Nana for me.
Thank you. Michelle?
Hi, good morning, everyone. Michelle here with Inside Garden Program. I'm not sure if this is the right time to talk about our experience at CAW at this point, or do you want me to just put that off until later? I don't have much by way of organizational update.
Yeah. Any announcement, if it could be brief, because I thank you, Michelle. Yeah, this is a good time.
Okay, well, I was at CAW, and in the middle of our programming, we were told that they're in lockdown.
Did they tell you the reason why they were in lockdown?
COVID. Mm-hmm. So they're starting with phase 1, so no programming at this point at CAW.
Thank you for that update, Michelle. Anybody else? Any more announcements? I do have an announcement. Next month, Kaylin will be hosting, and because it's my birthday, and I'm gonna celebrate my birthday next October. It will be October 4th, the first Monday. And last year, COVID cheated me. I didn't able to celebrate because we're all locked down. So basically, and this year is last year was my first birthday out. This is I'm actually gonna celebrate, like it's my first birthday out. So I will Kaylin will be doing the meeting, so hopefully you guys everybody can still join. All right. Yes, celebrate. Yes, I need to. All right. Just last meeting we had a breakout session to discuss the best approach and how we can best serve the folks inside women's prisons through organizing advocacy. We took notes, and you guys gave so much good ideas, and we will use down the line. But one of the suggestions and is for education for us to partner groups in California, especially that specialize in women's advocacy and women's prison coalition stuff. And we are honored that we are being blessed with a little presentation from California Coalition for Women's Prisoners. And I think Courtney, would you like to explain a little more? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And we threw together some slides just to make things a little more interesting. And we are so grateful to be here and that you all are kind of just trying to develop your own collective knowledge and advocacy power from your unique position, providing the services that you do, and really understand already existing advocacy efforts and just the whole landscape. So thank you for reaching out and having us today. I'm the development and communications. You can all see this okay? Okay, cool. The development and communications coordinator with CCWP, the California Coalition for Women Prisoners. So I wanted to give you all just a general overview of our work, how we go about it, and then pass it over to my colleague and comrade, Susan Bustamante, who has a whole nother level of experience, having served over 2 decades of a life without parole sentence. And I'll let her kind of dig more specifically into that campaign, just as an example of something we're working on that you all could plug into. So CCWP has been around for 25 years. We were founded by women and non-binary people in California women's prisons 2.5 decades ago, who were fighting deadly lack of medical care, which today remains one of the just most pressing, urgent and life-threatening issues inside women's prisons and all prisons. So they launched a class action lawsuit and formed this inside-outside advocacy effort, understanding that they were going to need that outside voice in order to make the lawsuit successful. And so ever since, we've maintained this inside-outside model. So we have an across the walls visiting program, which with COVID had been suspended. But for the past 25 years, this is really the core of all of our work. We go into the prisons, we do legal advocacy visits. We help people with parole prep, maybe filing commutations, you know, to try to go to board with an LWOP sentence, emotional support. And Susan, feel free to chime in and talk more about this. I can't stress enough that it's where all of our sort of campaign priorities grow out of. We don't just kind of one and done visit people. We build really long-standing relationships of trust and solidarity. And so that has been our model. We do a lot of work around reproductive justice. We recently had a long-fought, hard-fought victory of winning reparations for people who were forcibly sterilized in women's prisons. This happened recently between 2006 and 2010. At least 144 people were forcibly sterilized. Many don't even know that this actually occurred to them while incarcerated in California facilities. So finally, after many years of pushing, Governor Newsom included this reparations package in his budget. So we will be embarking on the challenging work of, you know, making sure this is actually implemented and survivors are aware of it and get connected to it. We have a Fire Inside newsletter that's been going in and out of the prisons for 25 years. The campaign to end life without parole, I'm gonna let Susan talk about that. And we're also part of many different coalitions. So we work closely with the CURB Coalition, Californians United for a Responsible Budget. They're actually very focused on prison closure at the moment. Survived and Punished, we're a founding member of this national coalition that tries to interrupt the survivor to prison pipeline and fight for the release of survivors of domestic violence. So these are just some photos from 25 years ago, sort of at our beginnings. This was a hearing that was taking place around the medical lawsuit where women and trans and non-binary people got to speak directly to state legislators about the harms that were taking place. And it did end with some victorious reforms, but as anyone working on incarceration issues knows, it's a long uphill battle, and the same problems do remain today. I'm sure many of you are familiar with just how many prisons we have in California. We really focus our work on CCWF in Chowchilla and CIW in Chino. And then we're in touch with, you know, because we understand that women's prisons aren't just filled with women and men's prisons aren't just filled with men, we're in touch with people across many different facilities who, you know, trans, non-binary, some folks at Folsom, etc. And then before I pass it over to Susan, I thought we could just watch this short, less than 2 minutes video of Patricia Wright. During COVID, we were able to secure release for her. And this video shows her leaving the prison, being welcomed by her family and friends. And she's a 68-year-old grandmother, survivor of domestic violence. She's also battling stage 3 ovarian cancer, and she was serving a life without the possibility of parole sentence. We all, I think in this room, probably feel the weight of ongoing COVID. You know, I heard someone say CIW going on lockdown, that this is far from over, but we really just shifted into the gear of fighting for releases and sort of triaging the most medically vulnerable people. And thank goodness we were able to get Pat out. But she talks in this video about how it's not nearly enough, that she's not exceptional. So let's make sure you have sound.
For allowing me. Governor Galvin Newsom, first of all, I want to thank you for allowing me to come home to my children and family. This is the most precious day of my life. I am so happy. I am free after 24 years. I didn't want to die in prison.
Free, girl. Free. Yeah, exactly.
Is there anything else that you would want to say?
Yes, because there's women in OPHU that's suffering from Alzheimer's, heart conditions. I just ask you to consider them, lifers, LWOPs. Think about them and consider their release. We were suffering there. I was just blessed. And I thank you for allowing me to come home. I thank you, Governor Galvin Newsom. And I love you for what you've done. My children love you. We will never forget you.
Yeah, we thank you.
I love you from the bottom of my heart for what you've done to me, allowing me to be set free. But I left so many people behind that are so sick. So many lifers, elderly women, women who wear diapers, who can't do for themselves, people that I've been knowing for years. Please help them like you helped me.
All right, let me just pull the slides back up.
Oh God, no, it's you.
Sorry, now I got this whole feed of Facebook videos popping up. So now I'll pass it over to Susan. I love that Patricia Wright says, thank you. I'm grateful to be home, but also I'm just like everybody else who is deserving of, you know, even at the point where you have maybe less than a year to live, just being with your family as you head into that chapter of your life. And so Pat is fighting hard for everyone who's still in there. Susan Bustamante does the same thing, has not forgotten about anybody we've left behind, and is just someone I'm very honored to work with. One of our dopest organizers, greatest champions. Susan, feel free to touch on visiting or anything I mentioned, or if you want to go into talking about the campaign to end life without parole and how that started, I will just pass it over to you.
Thank you. Wow, that was really emotional because she touches on what we all feel when we're walking out of the prison. It's such a glorious feeling. Yesterday made 3 years that I walked out, so that really touched on me, my release. And the Drop LWOP campaign is so important, and I was very honored that this year we had 3 bills trying to fight LWOP sentence, the life without sentence, because everybody, all the other bills, excluding LWOP. So it really felt good. And SB 300 is my first bill that I'm involved with in my life. So right now it's waiting till January that it's back in session but we passed the Senate, and which was really great, but we're holding numerous meetings to educate the assembly and the state, the people that represent what it is for an LWOP sentence, and how nobody is a throwaway, and how everybody deserves a second chance. And this is a living death sentence. They think that the death penalty is the only one, but no, LWOP is a living death sentence, because you're not allowed, you're not given free legal stuff like you are with the death penalty. So when you go to prison, you're just there. They close the door behind you. And as Joanne says, it's a no exit sign in that room. You're just there, and year after year. And it's been 3 decades. I was 31 years inside of CIW, and that is really hard to keep your hope up, and really hard to keep one foot in front of the other. I was very grateful for the ability to go to the Native Sweat Lodge, which helped me keep my feet under me and see my purpose. I'm sorry, Pat. Patricia got me emotional. Seeing that picture of all the elderly LWOPs that was taken. Courtney, can you bring that one back up?
Yeah.
And then I'll talk about this one. Okay, the
Down
one
here.
in the bottom left, that was taken on a spur of the moment, where we tried to gather as many LWOPs as we could. CIW has a small population of them, but there are, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, I believe 6 women in that picture that are no longer there because of commutations, or because of legal work done for them, that they are no longer there. But look at the rest of them. And that was taken about
While ago.
5 or 6 years ago. So it's like, I see that my women that I was with, and it's heartbreaking that they're still there, and there's no reason for it. There's been some that are commuted, that are still fighting board, that are still getting denied. So if you get a commutation, why are you still being denied a board? Things like that is what CCWP is helping. When you go inside, they go in and visit. I was one of those grateful people that they visited, and getting the fire inside and listening to all that they're fighting with, and to be able to have somebody come in and say, you matter. These are people who have never been in prison, who are just out of the kindness of their heart, caring about writing and caring about seeing people that have nobody, because they've been there so many years. They lose their family members, they lose their friends are like, okay, let me move on. The suicide, when we had when we had a warden, there was 14 suicides within her first 3 months. That's how bad it was. It was just like person after person after person. And there's 5,200 and more LWOPs right now. It's like you get 1 in 3, every 3 days, there's one person that gets life without sentence. That's why we're fighting for so hard for the SB 300, because the felony murder rule, there's people in there doing sentences for LWOP that shouldn't have that sentence, because they did not commit the crime. They had no clue, but because of the underlying felony, that's the easiest sentence to get. The middle picture there is the picture when we were doing a retreat in 2019, and people came together, and all different groups finally came together as one to try to figure out and make strategy to how we can help the life without sentences, how we can form. And then the living chance on the left there, I was part of, Adrienne Roberts came in and said, tell your story. She got to record us telling our stories of of getting the life without sentence and how easy it was, and or how we're forced to some women were forced into prostitution, some women were sex trafficked, some women were forced because of the domestic violence partners to commit the crime. You know, some people were just not even there, but yet the way the system works, it's easy to get. So we were able to, that's the starting. And
Yeah,
then
Susan, will
go
you
ahead.
elaborate a little bit on that? Because it feels really important. On the left side is sort of the beginnings of the campaign, what would become the campaign to end life without parole. But there was something very like political about all these women serving LWOP starting to speak to each other and to people outside. I learned what LWOP was because of that project. When I lived in Santa Cruz, I stumbled into a little art gallery that had all of your portraits and the audio. You would put on headphones and listen to these stories about LWOP. And then, so it started in the women's prisons, but now it's a statewide effort. It's for everybody.
You know, it's very hard to tell your story when everything excluded you, you know, and when we finally were able to tell somebody, then Adrienne Roberts came and interviewed us. And from there, she was able to take it back, as she was part of CCWP. And so then, you know, listening to the stories, I'm sure that's, you know, that gave a new direction that where it could go to help this sentence, you know, and there are way too many people, you know, doing LWOP. It's ridiculous. It's such a waste of money, you know, such a waste of money, because the main sentence age that you get the sentence is 19, you know, and then you're in your 50s and you're in your 60s, and what a waste. You know, that should never be. In the middle picture, there's the rally of 2018 that I was not able to attend because I had just gotten out and on parole. And so I couldn't make that far trip, but it's amazing to see the families, they get a chance to show their loved ones. I went into the one, I went up to the one right before COVID hit. So it was March 9th of 2019. There we are. And to see all those shirts are red and it says commuted on it. And to see the people being happy to see others that were just like them. And it's like such a family. And we fight. Not one person is not fighting for the people inside, you know, and it's a fight that you would think that it'd be easy to walk away, but you just can't. And so I encourage everybody to, at the end where there's the register for the strategy sessions and ways to fight this horrific sentence, please get involved. Please, if you have any questions, just contact CCWP if you don't get the information that you need. But we are fighting the mass sentences of LWOP and the mass sentences of some of our friends that are there for 50 and 60 years. It's ridiculous. Courtney?
Thank you, Susan. Yeah, and I really appreciated your how you all begin your meetings with that grounding, because everything we're talking about is heavy, it's difficult, it's people's lives and nothing less. So thank you, Susan, for your vulnerability and touching on all of that. I can put all these links in the chat and make sure that if people, I know we'll do a little bit of Q&A, and I'm sure we're running up on our time. I'm looking at Edwin, but I'll make sure these links are in the chat. The strategy sessions, all are welcome. These are going to happen as a series of Zoom meetings. It's less of a kind of 101 educational webinar and a little bit more digging into how you can get involved in the coalition and the strategies and how we're going to end LWOP. So it's intended for people who kind of have that interest of maybe being more involved, but all are welcome. I'll put all these links in the chat and welcome any questions people have, and appreciate your time.
Thank you.